Hello everyone, just want to take you on. Hello everyone, happy Wednesday, at least it is for me, because I just got 4 pear trees in the mail and 2 raspberry bushes, some sort of, I don't know, alternate variety of raspberry, yellow something, but I'll show you what came in the box. It came from Stark Brothers. I'll show you how they packaged it, and then I'll get out and actually decide where I'm going to plant the stuff. I've decided it will be actually at my house. I'm not exactly sure where though, so stick with it. So this is the box I've opened up, and it's, so you can kind of get an idea of the size. That's 4 2-year-old trees, and that's basically a square box. But yeah, it's 4 pear trees. You can see here, pineapple pears and a sparking honey sweet pear dwarf. So these are dwarfs, these 2, and then these are standard. So hopefully these will be about 15-foot max, and these will be about 25-30 foot max. So we'll try and think of that when I'm planting them. And this is here are the raspberry bushes. If you can kind of, since they pack it up, it's kind of hard to discern what is actually going on, but they're yellow raspberries, and this is what they've sent. It's a pretty impressive amount of bare roots here, which is what you want ultimately. That's the best way to get any plant, is if it's the roots are bare. A lot of times if they're in a pot, all of these roots will actually be all wound up like that, but they'll be in a pot and they'll be held together. They'll be holding all the dirt together. So sometimes if you get a pot and it's all, you can see the roots are wrapped around, you actually have to cut. You might have to cut kind of corners off to free up some of these roots, because they'll regrow. But if they've already been trained or are growing in a circular pattern, it'll stunt the growth of the total plant. So you want them to spread out, not spin around in a circle. So and these, okay, so I don't know how many I bought. I guess I bought 2 pairs of 3, so I have a total of 6 bushes. And I'll take this out and I'll show you how I'm planting a couple of them. They'll be in a grassy part, and you'll see what I mean outside, because I have a lot of areas that are sheet mulch, and then I have areas that are just kind of wild. So we'll get these out of the box, and I'll take you on a couple of the plantings. First, I want to give you an idea of how I'm deciding on where to plant these. So if you can see these flags, I don't know how well they're going to show up on the video, but everywhere there's a flag, there's probably a maple tree. And you can see somewhere I've already planted plum trees and then peach trees. So here's a plum tree right here. That is compost. That's a pear tree, and that's a pear tree. And then there's a plum right here. So I'm thinking that, because I have 4 pear trees, and they'll be the only pear trees that I have here, because these are peaches. I'll put a pear tree there, and I'll probably just go along here, and I might put one right here, just so you kind of have an idea. Directly behind me is the house, and directly to the right is south, so that's east. So the sun comes up from right there, and in the spring it comes up behind that tree, which will hopefully shade some of these trees. But I plan on having a couple of pine trees on the far edge here. So hopefully as these grow, they'll take 3 to 5 years to really start producing fruit. Hopefully some of the taller pine trees I plant later this year will grow up enough to block some of the sun in the spring, because we always have a false spring, and then there's a frost. And if the fruit trees have already budded, when that frost hits, it'll actually kill the buds themselves, and it won't fruit. So I'm just trying to keep things like that in mind when I'm planting this stuff. And I mean, the most important thing is to get the stuff in the ground and to get as much diversity as possible So that's why I'm putting all the pears on this property, because on my other property that's already have 3 different pears planted over there. So that's what we'll be doing today, and I'll get my shovel out. Here are the raspberries, and they're they basically, we can see how they've twisted these around, basically wrapped it around, then tied it on itself, kind of. So that was a bit of a challenge to try and figure out where the end was, but we ended up finding it, I suppose, which is pretty crazy, but it kind of gives the viewer an idea of what to expect when they get it. And the big thing about these roots, all this stuff got delivered earlier this morning, and the first thing I did was just spray it down with some water, because that's the one thing that will kill a plant, is if the roots get dry. So these are still slightly moist, and when I put these in the ground, I'm just trying to get one separated so you can see the amount of roots that are on that one. So obviously there's one major direction from a side root that's coming off. So it'll basically be laying like that in the ground, if at all possible, which is weird. I'll have to dig almost a trench. But once I get it in and get the soil kind of tamped down on it, just with my hand, then I'll just run a bucket of filtered water through it, not tap water, but filtered water through even Brita or Pear or something like that. And the trees aren't as bad. Just trying to, yeah, these are actually pretty good. It's interesting that they cut so much of the roots off. Obviously it'll grow from there. But yeah, I don't know exactly how these are actually, I guess, planted at the nursery location. But apparently it was easier for them just to cut it where it was, and they left all sorts of roots. I mean, you can just imagine how many more roots would be attached to this if they're still this thick up here. But it makes it easier to plant, because I only need to make a little bit bigger of a hole than that, stick it in, and I should be good. And I'll probably plant it as close to this as possible, because this is the dwarf rootstock. Oh, this is actually a standard. Hold on. Let me get a dwarf. It kind of looks the same. I wonder if this is still a standard rootstock, and then this is the actual pineapple pear variety that they... Yeah, it looks like that's what it is. But this is a dwarf pear tree, and this would be the dwarf stock. So this will control how tall the tree gets, but this is the variety of the fruit. Yep, so that way they can control how big the tree gets, but still determine what fruit it gets. From the same orientation, you can see the hole I've dug, and it took, 5 shovel sticks worth, I suppose. I mean, just a couple of seconds, not really a big deal, but that's what I removed from the hole. And then, a little awkward doing this one-handed, but I just want to show, if I can, about what it'll look like. I'll probably reach in there. I actually bought 2 little hand shovels today, and then I put them in my truck, and then I dropped my truck off to get tires changed. So I'll just use the bigger shovel, but it'd be nice just to scoop in there with a little hand shovel. But I'll take out some more of that, at least loosen it up, and then this will be just a little bit lower. And if you're curious why the grass is so crazy here, is I've actually left all this grass grow for the last 2 years, and all I've done is just chop down its height, hopefully to stop it from seeding and then growing more. But it also covers the soil. That's why the soil is so dark and easy to move and moist and all that. We are in the spring, but I'm not going to compare it now. But if I were to compare the walkway dirt to what I just did, all that is just gray, dry, crumbly, useless. But this, there's all sorts of moisture, so even when I put the water in, even if I didn't do that, there'd still be plenty of moisture in this dirt. There is one tree down. And I want to show you that big clump that I took out. Basically, I had it over here and then I split it into chunks. And spun it upside down. Put it over. I know it seems a little crazy, but that way some of that grass might end up running roots and regrowing and stuff like that. But the biggest thing I want to do is, obviously this is now going to get the most sun. It's got roots, it's got good soil, it'll get everything it needs. So this will continue to grow. And if all this other stuff wants to grow, then that's just fine. This grass isn't, even when it starts to regrow in the spring, it's not going to outcompete this tree. In fact, it's going to help it. If I were to kill all the grass and stuff around here, then this tree would be in a desert. It's easiest to think of it that way, but if there's other life growing up, then the soil has life, and this tree will actually be stronger for it. So what I'm going to do is, this was actually a different location than I was thinking of doing. So you can see over here, I'll probably still put one right over here, because that is, let me try and line up my finger with the video. So where that tree is, there's a pathway right here. I'm going to put another tree right here, and then I'll just go down on the other side. Let me stand up so I can kind of see so I don't fall over. Yep, so right here, right there's actually a tree growing right there, probably another maple, but I'll put one right around there. Then I'll put a couple over here. I might put one of the standard size over here so they can take over that whole corner. And then I'll put another dwarf over here. So, since I have 6 of these raspberry bushes, and a walkway goes that way, and then right now, the right side of this, I don't know, all this is planted out, but this is usually a walkway. But since this center area will probably never be a walkway, I think I'm just gonna randomly place these bushes all in the middle here. I have vegetables that grow on this edge, and there's bushes that go alongside, and there's comfrey and all that. But I think because those raspberries are going to be all tangled and mangled and be pretty thick, I'll just kind of space them equidistant in this area. And yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna just start planting and see how it goes. But this is the area that I'll at least plant them. I'm just trying to think of how easy they'll be to get to. Am I gonna want to plant more on this edge so it's on the edge of the trail? I might end up just putting a couple here maybe, and then putting a couple on the far side of that tree. Because right there, right here where we're walking up, is kind of a dead space, but all these flowers or these canes that are sticking up are actually sunchokes. So I'm thinking, since this is not really a planting space, or it is already planted, and I have a ring of maples coming through, I might just put a bunch here. Let me walk back, kind of take you on a trip here and see how these decisions get made, I suppose. But maybe I'll just put a block of 3 of those raspberry bushes right here and see if they'll just take over that area. Yeah, because I walk around this tree to get mulberries all the time, so this will kind of be beat down around. And then it'd be cool if there were a whole bunch of raspberries here too that I could grab. So I don't know, I think that's what I'll do. And of course, time will tell to see how effective or how much of a good idea it was. But I'm going to get to it. Thanks for walking around while I ramble. So, of course, I've changed locations, but I wanted to show you so this one that has the crazy roots that come all the way to here. I basically just dug a trench. That's basically what I want to show. It's actually those other 3 that I planted. I don't know if you can pick them up. There's one right there at the tip of my finger. The second one that needs to be straightened. And there's one more right there. So this will be a kind of a ring around this tree. I tried to do it behind me. But now the ground's pretty rocky over there from an old driveway. But yeah, I'll get these 3 planted, and then I'll show you just what I did with those trees, as far as the mulch and all that goes, and that'll be it for this video. I just want to show you at the base of this tree, this is what I did with all of them. Was for the mulch, I just ripped up the grass that was nearby. And that's actually part of the reason why this wild style of permaculture, why I do that, so that way I don't have to use wood chips everywhere and sheet mulch everything. I can just use the grass for its intended purpose, which is to mat out the ground so that bigger plants can go through. So that's it for that. Much wraps up what I'm doing today. I would say I need some water. I'm a little dehydrated, but I just wanted to mention how long all that took. Hopefully this video will be less than 8 minutes, but I think I've been home for 45 minutes. I planted those 6 bushes, those 4 trees, took and made 2 phone calls, I think sent a text, washed my hands. So it's really quick work, and especially with those, maybe not so with the trees, but with the bushes, it's a lot easier with the hand shovel. It's a lot easier when you're not recording. So just keep that in mind, that once you get these plants, I've made the mistake in the past where I tried to plan a day to plant a whole bunch of stuff. But really I need to, once it comes in, I need to do it as soon as possible. Especially for bushes, if I can just walk out, stick the shovel in the dirt, move it over, essentially, put the roots in the ground, and then just cover it back up with the dirt and some old grass. So thanks again for watching. I hope everybody's starting to get their orders, and if not, get online, use gurneys or any sorts of other things. I have another video that I posted in January that talks about all the places that I ordered from, including the local counties. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.